Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering the advanced scene switcher in OBS Studio. And a heads up, OBS Studio 26 has just come out today on Mac, Windows and Linux. And I'll go through a couple of the new features that I've come across installing on all three operating systems. So first of all, I'm going to have a look at the setting up the advanced scene switcher on Linux. And what this will allow you to do is, if you add media sources to multiple scenes, what it will allow you to do is automatically switch scene when the video is finished playing. So you can have video 1, video 2 and video 3 in separate scenes and set it up so that when video 1's finished playing, it goes into video 2, and when that's finished playing, it will go into video 3. So what I'm going to do is show you how to set this up, because there's actually a little trick you need to know to get this working on Linux, which actually isn't in the documentation here. So first of all, we're going to come across and go to download, and that's going to download the file. And what this will actually do is, if I come across into the download folder, you'll see it's just one zip, and basically what it is a single zip for all three operating systems. So we need to unzip the scene switcher, and if we have a look inside the SceneSwitcher directory, SceneSwitcher, you'll then see a Linux, Mac and Windows directories. And I'll quickly just go through the Mac one. It's got a PKG file that you can install, and typically on the Mac what you need to do with the PKG files is right click on them and select open, because Mac has a security feature that will throw up an error message otherwise. So you can just run the PKG on the Mac. On Windows, you've got the 64-bit and 32-bit, so 64-bit, and basically you copy the advanced scene switcher DLL into your, it's usually program files, OBS Studio, plugins, 64-bit folder in your C drive, and restart the advanced scene switcher. On Linux, what we have is the advanced-scene-switcher.so file. And on the instructions on this page, if I scroll down here, installation Windows, that's Mac, and finally on Linux, what it will tell you to do is copy this to the userlib OBS plugins or userlib x86_64 Linux GNU OBS plugins directories. Unfortunately, that doesn't work, that I found anyway, on Ubuntu 20. And what I'm going to do is show you the fix for this. It's quite simple. If we have a look in our config directory, in our home directory, OBS Studio plugins, what you'll see is I've created a directory called Advanced Scene Switcher. So Advanced Scene Switcher. And then the directory structure is bin 64-bit, and if you have a look inside there, that is where you put the advanced scene switcher.so file. So what you need to do is basically, in the scene switcher directory, scene switcher Linux, what you do is you're going to create the directory config OBS Studio plugins advanced scene switcher bin 64-bit. So what you do is you run mkdir-p and then config OBS Studio plugins advanced scene switcher bin 64-bit, and I'll put a link to the bit of code or documentation for this. So once you've done that, and you can then start OBS Studio. And of course, what you want to do first of all, if you're on Ubuntu, you want to run a sudo apt update and a sudo apt upgrade to get the latest version of OBS Studio. On Mac and Windows, when you open OBS Studio today, what it's going to do is prompt you to automatically install the latest update. So now what I'm going to do is show you the advanced scene switcher setup. So now if I come across to the tools menu, you'll see down here at the bottom we have the advanced scene switcher. Now I open this, and the one thing that got me first of all is there's lots of tabs here for different things, and the one we're going to be using is the media tab. And I was going through playing with this and setting it up, and it wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out why. And that's because I'd missed this really important step. When you first start the advanced scene switcher on the general tab, what you need to do is you need to click this button here. At the moment it says stop because I've started it and you can see it's active, but by default this is not going to be turned on, so it's a bit confusing. You'll open up the plugin from the tools menu and you think you could just go straight into it, but no, what you got to do is click this button here so that it says active. Now once you've done that, what you're going to do is we're going to come across to the media tab, and basically what I've done is I've created 3 different scenes down here called Popeye, Sinbad and the 3 Bears. And what I'm doing is I'm using some public domain cartoons, that means not subject to copyright, for this demonstration, and I've added media sources into each one of those scenes. And what I've done is the scenes are called Popeye, Sinbad and the 3 Bears. So what I've then done is the media source, I've called those the same as the scene, but with the addition of video. So it would be like Popeye video, Sinbad video, 3 Bears video, and those are the names of the media sources in the scenes that are created. So what we're going to do now is set it up so that when each video is finished playing, it then switches to the next scene and plays the next video automatically, and so on. So first of all, we're going to start with the Popeye scene. So what we're going to do is select the Popeye video. So this is the name of the media source in the Popeye scene. So it's a good idea to have a naming convention that you can remember, so that you can identify the name of the media source in the correct scene. So what we do is, first of all, we're going to say when Popeye video state is, and we're going to come down here and we're going to select ended. Now we don't need this next one here, so we leave this and none. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say switch to, and this is going to allow us to select the scene that we're going to want to switch to. So we're going to select Sinbad, which is the next scene in the list. And we can then say which transition we want to use when we're changing between the scenes. So I've only got the cut and fade transitions enabled on this Linux box. Now the next thing that you need to do is the most critical bit, and that is click the plus button. This isn't actually entered as an entry here, so what we do is we click this, and you'll now see that it's actually coming across. Hang on, let me just stop that, because it's now switched to the as I did that, it actually as I entered the entry in the advanced scene switcher, it actually switched to the scene while I was doing the demo. So let me just come across to the tools menu again and go to the advanced scene switcher and the media. And so what we're going to do now is do the same thing for the next 2 videos. We're going to say select the Sinbad video in the next scene that we're switching to, and say when is ended. We want to switch to the 3 Bears using the fade, and we'll click the plus button. Okay, so let me just check that's not playing. So again, what we're going to do is for the that will switch from Popeye to the Sinbad scene, and then from the Sinbad scene to the Three Bears scene. So adding these two here will switch from the first video to the second video to the third video. And obviously, if you had another scene after that, you would do the same thing. You would say, when the Three Bears video is finished, switch to, and then select the scene you want to switch to. So now what I'm going to do is, once I've set that up, I'm actually going to come across and play this. And what I'll do is I'll just jump ahead to the end of the video, and what it should do is in a few seconds it should actually switch to the next scene. So I've got about 10 seconds left of this, and the new version of OBS-studio 26 has actually got built-in media control. So now that's switched to the Sinbad scene. So here you can see this is coming up. Again, these are all public domain videos, so no issues with the copyright and videos being taken down, so I can actually scrub through this if I want. Actually, strangely, I don't have a on this particular video, maybe because of the way it's encoded, I don't actually have proper video controls, so it's not actually allowing me. But if I stop this, I'm just going to see. Let me stop this. And actually, this particular video is not letting me stop it for some reason. So I'm just going to manually click to the next one, just because sometimes these things happen with particular videos. So, strangely enough, on this Three Bears video, I'm now getting the media controls coming up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop that. So just so happened that the particular video I chose for the second scene switching didn't have the media controls. When you click these videos, when you click the when you have a scene here and it's got a media source, what happens is when you click the media source name here, the media controls will appear up here. So that was the advanced scene switcher. So let me just come across back here. So once you've installed the plugin, remember you need to come across here, click the button so it says active. We came across to the media section, and we selected the media source name, and then what we did is say state ended, switch to scene using a particular transition, and then you click the plus button, and you do that for all these scenes. So that's the advanced scene switcher. Another thing I wanted to come across and show you on Linux is that if I come across to my microphone on Linux and go to the filters section, you'll now see, if I just remove that sec, you'll now see on Linux you also have VST2 plugins now available, which you didn't previously. So if I click that, you can now see I can select any one of these free VST plugins that I've installed for Linux. So there are actually lots of different plugins you can actually get from the standard Ubuntu repository, or actually download and manually install. So that's going to let you improve the audio on Linux. So that's one update on Ubuntu 26 on Linux, is you now have VST 2 plugins that you can use. And I don't know if you could actually use Wine to use Windows plugins. I'm not sure about that, because previously you could use Jack and programs like Carla and Wine to enable Windows VST plugins like the Reaper suite. But that's the VST plugins on Ubuntu. The other thing is that on Windows you have a virtual camera that will appear here that you can start and stop, but that's not available on the Mac or Linux versions of Ubuntu of OBS Studio 26. As I said, the other thing I've noticed is what you have now is the media controls are built in. So as I said, when you add a media control, a media source rather, you actually have to select the media source and then you'll see the playhead come up here. If you don't have the media source selected, you won't see the controls. So that's one update that I've noticed, and how it actually has a few weird gotchas. You'd think it'd show up all the time, but it doesn't. It only shows up if you've got the media source selected. So again, that was the advanced scene switcher setup. So again, search for the advanced scene switcher, come to the downloads directory, unzip the folder, and then again we had to SceneSwitcher Linux. That's the advanced-scene-switcher.so, and we created the config OBS Studio plugins advanced scene switcher bin 64-bit directory. And once you've done that, you would copy that file, SceneSwitcher Linux advanced scene switcher to that directory, OBS plugins advanced scene switcher bin 64-bit. So that's what you do to install it. And again, the critical thing is when you're coming up here, sometimes you remember it's called the advanced scene switcher and not the automatic scene switcher. So you come across, make it active. You've got all these different sections you can play with, and this is the media one again that I set up, that will allow you to automatically switch between different scenes when the video has ended, so that you don't have to keep an eye on it and just sort of gradually, quickly press it, so the video hasn't ended before you switch to the next scene. So that's the advanced scene switcher, and that's also some features of OBS Studio 26. And the most important one on sort of Linux is the filters here. You can now add VST2 plugins, and these are some of the plugins that I've installed. And if you search on Ubuntu, search VST, I can't remember what they're called. There's a load of Carla. Carla is a VST host that allows you to sort of use VST plugins and combine it with Jack. Is it the DF? There is a name of some Linux VST plugins on Linux VST plugins, Linux Sound. I think this is one I came across. Yeah, it's not a very pretty website. It's just basically a list of different plugins you can get, and here's basically a load of different sites where you can download plugins that you can install on Linux, which will allow you to improve the audio. So if I just perhaps come across and just open one of mine, let's see if I can find anything that I remember was any good. Let's just pick one at random. Oh, hang on, there's a graph here. Was it? See if this works, or if it crashes or anything. See, this is the first time I've actually opened it, and it doesn't seem to be. It's just my window manager here. Yeah, I can't see where the the actual thing's coming up. This may be an issue of my window manager or something, or maybe that plugin didn't work. So I've got a load of different plugins, and I can't quite remember where I installed them from. Let's see, VST plugins, compressor, stereo. See if this opens. See, for some reason the window's sort of opening here, but it's got nothing loading up. I haven't actually checked to see if this worked. I just noticed that the VST plugins sort of showed up, but I can't see it actually loading up the plugin window. So I'm not quite sure why that is. And you can see it sort of tearing here. Well, it is on my screen, it's not on the recording, but for some reason, there we go, and it's crashed. So that was OBS Studio crashing on Linux. I was also trying to get the VST plugins window to open. So that's just basically how I set up the advanced scene switcher on Linux, and what you can use it for to automatically switch between videos when they've ended, and the VST plugins feature, which doesn't seem to work, or at least wasn't working on my computer. So there may be something else you need to do to get this working on Ubuntu. So I'll have a look at that, and that was basically a quick review of some of the new features in OBS Studio and how you can automatically switch between videos when they've ended and switch into the next scene.